Hi, my name is Robert Jones and I am a doctor at the Port Moresby General Hospital. I look after women for a living and I take care of women who are pregnant and women who are not pregnant. Now, you may ask yourself, why is a woman's doctor telling us about the coronavirus? He is not an expert. But I would rather you hearing this from a doctor like myself, or at least a doctor, rather than you hearing it from a lawyer, an accountant, a policeman, a soldier, a politician, or your uncle or your boo-boo who is not even a health professional. I would rather you hearing about the coronavirus from someone who is a health professional who has some basic understanding. So that's why I'm standing here to talk to you today about the coronavirus. So you've probably heard about the coronavirus, or COVID-19 as it's also known. Now, one thing you'll notice is that a lot of people are fearful and anxious about the coronavirus. Why? The simple reason is because no one wants to cease to exist. No one wants to die. Everyone wants to live and everyone wants tomorrow to be guaranteed. But with the coronavirus, even our tomorrow seems uncertain. But the point of this video is to help you not to be fearful, not to be anxious, so that you have knowledge to help you live through this. Now, we have had only one case in Papua New Guinea so far, and that was from a foreigner who flew in for work and was found to be positive for the virus, and he was flown out of the country soon thereafter. Since then, we have had no cases of the coronavirus in PNG up to this point in time. Now, are we going to get the coronavirus infection? Or is it just something that will affect all the other countries in the world and not us? The truth of the matter is that we will eventually get the coronavirus infection. And why do I say that? The simple reasons are that we are not good in our hand hygiene. We are not good at social distancing. We can't keep at least 1.5 meters away from the person beside us. And number 3, we are not good at quarantine. When we are sick, we don't isolate ourselves. We like to mix around, go out to the stores and do things. We can't stay at home locked up for 14 days. And the final reason why I believe this disease will eventually come to Papua New Guinea is that we are a global community. Any illness that starts in China, in America, or any part of this world will eventually come to us. Now, there are 3 points I want to get across in this video. Number 1, I want you all to have a basic knowledge about the coronavirus so that you don't believe myths and lies that are currently circulating everywhere. Number 2, I want you to know how to prevent getting the coronavirus and also prevent spreading it if you do already have it. And number 3, surviving the infection if you do get it. So here are some basic facts about the coronavirus. Believe it or not, there are actually 7 different types of human coronaviruses. 7 different types of coronaviruses that affect human beings. And believe it or not, all these 7 different types of coronaviruses are actually from animals. If you remember the 2003 SARS coronavirus 1, SARS means severe acute respiratory syndrome. So SARS coronavirus 1 infection that spread through Asia in 2003, that was actually from a type of wildcat called a civet. In 2012, there was a new type of coronavirus infection that spread across the Middle East, and it caused Middle East respiratory syndrome, MERS. And that infection was actually found to be from the coronavirus from camels. And in 2019, the coronavirus infection, which is now known as SARS coronavirus 2, started in Hubei province in China, actually came from bats. It resembles more closely the coronavirus that's found in bats. Now, in 1918, there was another flu pandemic that spread across the world. It ravaged the world. It made many millions sick, and it took an estimated 50 million lives. And it basically decimated the population of the world at that time. Now, the cause of that flu, known as the Spanish flu, the cause of that flu was actually from pigs. H1N1. We had a another recurrence of it in 2009, but that didn't affect many people. If you look at all these things closely, the coronaviruses, the swine flu, all these things that are happening, it's just basically because of our disobedience. God has listed a number of foods which are clean for us to consume from animals. But we have not listened to God, and we have made our own choices of what should be food for us. And hence we have ended up with all these diseases, and we are struggling to overcome them. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Obedience is better than anything else. It will save us a lot. Now, when we have the coronavirus infection in particular, SARS coronavirus 2 or COVID-19, it takes about 5 days for the virus to start reproducing in our bodies. That's called the incubation period, about 5 days. And from that, it takes us another 6 days. So by the 11th day of that infection, we actually start to show signs and symptoms. And when we start to show signs and symptoms, this is when we become very infective. Because coronavirus is really transmitted in two main ways, either directly or indirectly. Directly when you cough or when you sneeze, and indirectly when you touch a contaminated surface and then you touch your eyes, your nose, or your mouth and put the virus into it. So when you cough or sneeze, you produce droplets out of your mouth, and that's how the virus spreads. It's not floating in the air, it's actually in droplets that we spit out. And the droplets, because they are water, they basically fall to the ground. So that's why we say a distance of at least 1.5 meters. So if you cough or sneeze, it travels for at least a meter before it falls to the ground. And if you're at least 1.5 meters away, then you won't have any chance of getting direct contact into your nose or your mouth from someone coughing or sneezing. And that's why we also advise people, if you cough or sneeze, to at least use your elbow to cover your mouth. Or if you use a tissue, to cover your mouth and to throw it away. Or even better still, if you are having symptoms, if you are coughing, you have a sore throat, you have fever or flu-like symptoms, to isolate yourself at home so that you don't have any chance of transmitting it to anyone. Now, the indirect way of spreading it through contaminated surfaces, how we get that and then we put it to our eyes, our nose, or our mouth, is when we touch things. Either we touch hands that have the coronavirus on it, or either we touch our work surfaces, our school desks, or we touch chairs, or we touch trolleys, or we get in the bus and we touch seats, or we touch pens, or we touch our mobile phones or our tablets, we touch door handles, we touch doors and other things. And that's how we end up spreading the virus by our hands on contaminated surfaces. And then we touch our face and we spread it into ourselves again. Or we spread it to others by contaminating those surfaces when we are infected ourselves. So these are the reasons why you'll hear people telling you that you need to practice good hand hygiene, that you shouldn't touch your face, and that you should practice social distancing, and that you should be quarantined or isolating yourself if you have signs or symptoms of the flu. We don't want to spread the flu around. We don't want to spread coronavirus around. We want to keep our people safe and healthy. Now, one thing you will notice is that a lot of old people are dying from the coronavirus. Why is that so? If you look at all the data and all the facts that are coming out from the world in countries which have the coronavirus infection, you will know that young people are not dying from it. They get infected. Most of them just have mild flu symptoms, but they get better. Whereas old people, when they get the infection, they have very bad pneumonia, very bad chest infection, and they end up getting admitted to the hospital and they end up dying in the hospital. Even some of them, because of the space has been full in the hospital, are dying outside of the hospital. They require hospital care, but there's no space. So a lot of the people dying are old people. The question is, why are old people dying and young people are not dying? The simple reason is that the immune system, the defense system of the young people's bodies are much better than those of the people who are old. And it's worse if these old people, more than 50 years old, they have sicknesses like diabetes, sicknesses like hypertension, they have heart disease, or if they have some chest disease already there that makes it difficult for them to breathe, or if they have some other conditions that reduce the immune system or bring down the immune system, or cancer, then they are more likely to have severe disease from the coronavirus infection, and they're more likely to die from it. That's why you see countries like Italy having more deaths than countries like China, because there are more old people in Italy. So if you look at Papua New Guinea, we have a lot of people who are young. We don't have too many people in the 60s, 70s, 80s age group. A lot of our population is young. So if the infection does hit Papua New Guinea, one saving grace is that we don't have a lot of old people who will be falling sick to the virus. And therefore we will have lower chances of these people dying from the virus. So if people with poor immune systems, like the older people, are dying, then that means the key to surviving the virus is having a healthy immune system. Very much so like those who are young, less than 20 years of age, most of whom have healthy immune systems. So how do we have a healthy immune system so that we can survive the coronavirus if we do get infected with it? The main ways to keep your immune system healthy can be summed up in an acronym called NEWSTART. Now, NEWSTART, as you can see, N stands for nutrition, E for exercise, W for water, S for sunlight, T for temperance, A for air, R for rest, and T for trust in God. Now, that acronym and all those points or principles inside actually keep our immune system healthy so that we can fight infection and clear out the virus. Believe it or not, there is no medicine available to fight the virus at this point in time, or to treat it when you get an infection with it. There is nothing that actually works. It's for your body to fight it on its own and clear it out. So you need the best defense system or the best immune system so that you can clear it out quickly without suffering any complications whatsoever. So the N, nutrition. Food is one of the most important things about fighting any infection, having a healthy diet. Many of us eat white rice, white bread, noodles, biscuits, scones. We drink soft drinks. We take ice cream. We like sweet things. We like pastries. And we like a lot of meat. Now that diet is a recipe for diabetes. It is a recipe for hypertension and those things. When you have a lot of sugar flowing around your system, it actually damages your body's ability to fight infection. Sugar in any amount when it's high is bad for your immune system. Now, having a diet rich in fruits, a diet rich in vegetables, food from the market, a diet that's rich in nuts and grains. If you want rice, brown rice. If you want bread, then something that's close to wholemeal bread. A lot of the wholemeal breads have a lot of white flour added in them and they're not really good. So wholemeal bread that's close to wholemeal as you can get. Water for your drink and not soft drinks, so that your blood sugar can be low and controlled and your immune system can work well. Not to mention, fruits and vegetables have a lot of things we call antioxidants inside, which help our body to repair well, which also helps our body to fight infections. Vitamins and minerals, they help to fight infections. But if we don't have these things, if we don't eat enough of these foods, then our immune system will not function properly. Our defense system will have a lot of gaps. And it'll be easy for viruses to come in, for bacteria to come in, all sorts of germs, and even for cancer to grow in our system, for us to have lifestyle diseases, all from just our diet. Now the E, exercise. Exercise, believe it or not, is essential for a normal and healthy defense system. We need to get our body and our blood circulating, moving. And movement is what God has put for us to be healthy. But many of us, the movement we get is from watching sports. We would rather watch other people run around, and that is exercise for us. But that should not be exercise for us. We should move ourselves around. We shouldn't move in our cars. We should try to walk as much as possible, garden, rake, do things where we move our body. It doesn't have to be some exercise at the gym. It can be any simple exercise where you sweat. W is for water. And believe it or not, water is God's only recommended source of hydration. God does not recommend for us to take soft drinks. God does not recommend for us to take coffee and tea and other products we find in the store to hydrate ourselves. Water is the best thing to hydrate our body. It keeps our body free from acids, or keeps the acid levels low in our body. So we don't grow bacteria, we don't grow viruses, we don't grow fungus, and we are less likely to grow cancers in our body from this acidic environment. When we take a lot of water, our body functions well. We think well. We are able to do things well. So water is really important. It helps us to fight infections. Now, another thing about water is that we can use it as a way to fight infection and also to heal ourselves. And that's called hydrotherapy. And a simple way of doing hydrotherapy is taking hot and cold showers. So what you would do is, if you have hot water and cold water, then you can turn on your shower to full hot. Well, let's not burn yourselves in the process, but at least enough for you to tolerate, and stay under that hot water for about 2 minutes, and then you turn that all the way off, and then put the cold water to full blast, and then you stay under that for 1 minute, and you alternate like that for at least 2 or 3 cycles, and then you get out of the shower. So that's one way of using water to help the body to fight infection and helping the body to heal. S is for sunlight, and believe it or not, our defense system depends upon sunlight. Without sunlight, our body cannot change the vitamin D inside us to an active form that actually helps our body to fight infections. So we need sunlight. Many of us are locked in offices, locked in classrooms, locked in our homes, watching TV on our mobile devices, and we don't get enough sunlight. And as a result, a lot of people are actually vitamin D deficient in developed countries. And the trend is also true for people who live in major cities in the developing countries, because of the fact that we spend a lot of hours in our offices, in our cars, in our shops, and in our homes, not getting out into sunlight. We need sunlight. Let the sunlight touch your skin. T, temperance. Many of you, this may be the first time you've heard the word temperance, but it basically means none of the bad things, but all the good things in moderation. Many of us, we like to think that we can take bad things in moderation and we will be okay, or in small amounts. But any bad thing is a poison, and you cannot take poisons in small amount. Eventually, poisons add up and they will kill you. Good things are good for us as long as they are taken in moderation. So everything we've talked about, nutrition, exercise, sunlight, and the other things like rest, air, all of those things must be taken in moderation. Even though they are good for you, they must be taken in moderation. Even water can kill you if you don't take it in moderation. But the bad things, they will definitely kill you if you take any amount of them. It's better not to touch the bad things and take the good things in moderation, and that's called temperance. So what are the bad things? Believe it or not, bad things are not just things like alcohol, not just things like tobacco, not just things like marijuana, not just things like other drugs. Believe it or not, bad things include sugar we find in packets that we mix with our tea or coffee. That's bad. We find sugar also in products like pastries. That's bad for you. And then we find them in sweets and cakes. That's bad for you. Chocolates, ice creams, soft drinks. All these things are bad for you. They are poisons to your system. Even unclean meats that God has not told us to eat, but yet we are eating, those are bad things. We should take none of them. A is for air. And believe it or not, the air in many of our homes, our workplaces, our classrooms is not clean. We actually need to get out every single day and breathe fresh air. Whether it's just outside your home, it doesn't have to be somewhere pristine and pure and nice. You can just breathe the air in your backyard or in your garden. That air is cleaner than the air in your home, and we all need fresh air. We need to get out of our homes, out of our buildings for at least an hour or two every single day. We were not made to be in buildings our whole lives. We were meant to spend time outside, touching nature, breathing the fresh air. Air is very important for the health of our lungs. R is for rest. Believe it or not, many of us have bad immune systems simply because we do not rest. And we need at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep each day, or should I say each night, so that our bodies can function properly, it can repair. If we don't rest well, then our immune systems will be weaker and we will find it more easier to have infections. Now, one of the reasons that many people don't attribute to a lack of rest is our eating, especially when we eat late at night. Now, if you eat at 10 o'clock, believe it or not, it takes your body about 4 to 6 hours to digest the food. And your intestines want to go to sleep by 11, just like the rest of your body at the latest. But when you eat at 10 o'clock at night, you keep your intestines working for at least 4 to 6 hours. So 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, then your intestines are done with the meal. 6 hours. That's if you eat dairy or you take meat, then it takes longer. 4 hours if you eat grains and nuts or something lighter like that. So it's not good to have a late meal. All of us should be having our dinner early by 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock so that our digestion can be finished by midnight at the latest, and from midnight till morning our body is truly resting. Don't think that because you are closing your eyes that your body is resting. Your whole system needs to rest. That's what the body considers as rest. And if we don't rest well, then we are more likely to get infections. T is for trust. Believe it or not, many of us find illness and disease because we are worried. We are anxious. And many times we're anxious about tomorrow. Many times we're anxious about our school, our work, our finances, how we're going to succeed in life, our relationships. We are anxious about just surviving. Or now we're anxious about the coronavirus. And many of us will find illness and death because we are anxious. When we are anxious, our body releases hormones that promote high sugar levels, that stop the immune system from working properly, and this allows infection to come in. So really we need trust. We need to trust in God so that we are not anxious, so that we can have a better night's rest, so that we can leave the future to Him, because we don't know tomorrow, whether we will live tomorrow or not. But when we have a relationship with God, then trust is possible and we are able to prevent a lot of the illnesses that come upon us. So now you have all the information you need to understand the coronavirus and get yourself through it. You at least have some basic understanding about the virus. You know how to prevent getting it. You know how to stop spreading it if you have it. And at the same time, you know how to survive the infection if you do get it. But all this knowledge is useless if you don't put it into action. So I encourage you to put it into action. It won't cost you anything at all or cost you much. If anything, these things should be readily available to us. Good food, water, exercise, sunlight, controlling yourself, temperance, air, rest, trust in God. They are not complicated things, they are simple things, but they are here to protect us. We are thankful to God that there are no cases of coronavirus at this point in time, but trust me, they will come. And we are thankful to God for His mercies, for allowing us this time to prepare ourselves, to prepare our families, to prepare our systems, and get our resources ready, so that when it comes, we can be able to stand. Are you ready to face the coronavirus?